Today we're going to learn how to make a beatbox rock song. This is Mr. Morgan, if you don't recognize my voice. So the first thing I'm going to do is teach you about the instruments you would find in a rock band. So I went online and found this nice cool picture of a rock band. So we have the drums. The drums usually keep the beat in the rock band. This guy is a bass player, and I can tell he's the bass player because he has a bass cab here. So the bass usually plays a lot of rhythms with the kick drum, and we'll go over what that is in a second. Then the other part of the rock band is the lead guitar, the electric guitar. So usually there'll be a couple electric guitar players in a rock band, but usually you only see one bass and one drum set. Occasionally they'll have two drummers, but I've never seen more than one bass. Of course, we've got the rock singer. We're not going to really talk about him today because Beepbox doesn't have a singing voice to it. The next thing I want to talk about is the parts of a drum set. So a typical rock drum set will have what's called a kick drum or the bass drum. It means the same thing. And usually those will play on beats 1 and 3. And the next part is the snare drum. And that you usually play on beats 2 and 4. And the last part that usually you'll hear in a rock drum beat is the hi-hat cymbal. And usually that will play steady beats. So if you were doing in 4/4 time, it would be just on 1, 2, 3, 4. Or it might play eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Occasionally you'll find 16th notes too. And then, of course, we got various toms and cymbals, but those usually don't provide the beat to the song. The next thing I want to talk about is what the scale settings are for a typical rock song. So when you're making your song, you would choose under the scale the sad face easy. What that is called a minor pentatonic scale. The next setting we're going to make is it comes up as 150. We're going to change the tempo to around 100. Anywhere between 90 and 120 will sound good. It's like a song you'll hear on the radio. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my drum set, and it comes up as chip noise. We're going to change that to standard drum set. Now I'm going to have a new song. We're going to show you guys how to do this. I'm going to go to Beepbox, beepbox.co. There we go. And make these changes again really quickly. And then I'm going to go to the drum set, which is this gray grid. And it already came up on standard drum set for me. And I'm going to go ahead, this is my kick drum, these bottom ones. This is my snare drum, kick, then my snare. And then up here is my hi-hat. So if you listen to what I told you, these are the beats right here. So this is beat 1, beat 2, 3, 4. And then it starts over again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in 1 and 3 on the kick, and 2 and 4 on the snare. Now that doesn't really sound like a rock drum beat to me. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to always keep the snare on 2 and 4. We're going to add some eighth notes or some ands to the kick drum. Okay, I'm going to see what this sounds like. That sounds pretty good. You can mess around and add your own kick drum, but always keep the snare on 2 and 4. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in every beat for the hi-hat. Of course, that's a hi-hat sound. You can hear it alone if you find an empty space. That's a maraca, tambourine. So that's the hi-hat right there. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in every single beat. Oops, I messed up right there. So let's fix that. Awesome. So now I have my drum beat. The next thing we're going to do, let's see if I missed any of the questions for you guys. Yeah, it looks like I filled in everything. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to create your own rock song. And I have a link here that you guys can go to and listen to an example of one. So after you do your drum beat, you're going to create a bass part and a melody to create a song. So let me just open that up really quick. And so if you notice my bass part, it still has a lot of notes starting on the beat. But if you notice I started on the brown, which is the key of the song. So you want to at least start on that note. That's kind of like the center of the song. And then I have a guitar part here. That's just kind of doing a steady rhythm. That might match what your hi-hat's doing. And your bass part might match what your kick drum is doing. So if I go back here, here's my kick drum, here's my hi-hat. So usually in a band, that's what happens. Then of course, here's my melody. I chose the rock organ sound. Anything with rock in it will sound good. So for the bass, I think I chose the square lead, but the fingered bass sounds good too. Anything with bass in the title. Have fun.